It started with a hum. Quiet at first, barely noticeable. But then, a strange occurrence. Every device on Earth, from phones to televisions, picked up a consistent frequency. 4 days, scientists scrambled to decode the signal, but it was unlike anything they'd ever encountered. No patterns, no logical progression. It felt almost deliberate, like it was waiting for something. Or someone. Dr. Maria Alvarez, an astrophysicist at a top observatory, was the first to hear the words clearly. At 3:23 a.m., as she sat alone in the dark of the lab, the static cleared, and a voice came through, faint but undeniable. "We have seen your struggles. The answer lies beyond time." She froze. Her heart pounded. Time? Beyond time? She replayed the message. It wasn't a random collection of words. It was intentional. It was a warning. Maria quickly contacted her superior, Dr. Edwin Harper. He was skeptical at first, but when he heard the transmission, his expression changed. "This is no prank. We need to tell the world." But there was a problem. As soon as the message went public, more signals followed. They weren't just from space anymore, they were coming from deep within Earth's own atmosphere. This wasn't extraterrestrial. This was something closer. Governments rushed to respond. Theories about time-traveling civilizations, alternate realities, and ancient alien species took over the media. The world became divided, some in awe of the message, others fearing its implications. Maria knew there was more to this. Something about the words, beyond time, was gnawing at her. Could the message truly be about time? Or was it something more, something the world wasn't ready to understand? Maria gathered a team of experts, linguists, physicists, and cryptographers to work on the message. They spent weeks, decoding and redecoding the same sequence, each attempt revealing new fragments. But there was something troubling about it. Every time they made progress, the signal would change, adapting, shifting, like it was aware of their attempts. Then, on the 27th day, they cracked it. The signal stopped being a mystery. It wasn't a message to mankind from a distant alien species. It was from the future. But how could that be possible? It felt like a dream, or worse, a nightmare. If the message was from the future, why was it reaching out now? And why, after all these years, was it finally speaking? Maria's team discovered that the future humans had developed a way to send consciousness across time, a technology far beyond anything Earth had ever conceived. They could implant knowledge, ideas, and even emotions into the minds of people in the past, shaping events to steer the world towards salvation. But there was a catch. The message wasn't just about preventing a future disaster, it was also a warning. The very act of changing time came with unintended consequences. The future humans had learned this the hard way. Each time they altered the past, ripples spread, affecting things in ways no one could predict. There were no guarantees. Despite the risks, Maria knew what had to be done. The world needed to understand that the future wasn't set in stone. They had to act. But how could they convince a world that was still divided, unsure whether this message was even real? How could she make them see that time itself was the enemy? In a desperate attempt to unite the planet, Maria made a bold decision. She went public with the knowledge she had gained. She broadcasted a live feed of the message across every channel, every platform, every language. She explained the truth about the future, how humanity had been manipulated by time itself, and how there was still a chance to rewrite the course of history. The world responded in shock. People were both frightened and hopeful. Some believed her immediately, while others thought it was a hoax. Governments scrambled to control the narrative, while grassroots movements erupted, calling for global action. But Maria's message had already gone viral. People were waking up. They were listening. Then came the warning: time is listening. Act now, or the path will be sealed. The moment the message was out, the world began to change. There were disruptions in the natural world, unexplainable phenomena began to occur. Time itself seemed to bend in strange ways. Seconds would stretch into minutes, and hours would pass in the blink of an eye. The world was on the brink of chaos. And then, as if on cue, a new message arrived, clear as day: we are coming. The future will judge you. As the days passed, the changes grew more apparent. People began experiencing strange sensations, feeling like they had lived moments before, seeing visions of alternate futures, and even hearing whispers in their minds. Time was breaking down, and the future was no longer a distant idea, it was merging with the present. Maria's team continued their research, trying to understand the full implications of what was happening. The more they learned, the more terrified they became. The line between past, present, and future was blurring. Decisions made now would ripple through time in ways that were impossible to predict. But the future wasn't waiting. It was already here, and it was coming for them. Then came the final message, a message that chilled Maria to the bone. You are at the crossroads. The choice is yours. Will you embrace the future, or will you let time destroy you? The message wasn't just about saving humanity anymore. It was a test. A test of whether humanity could evolve, transcend its limitations, and break free from the chains of time. Maria stood at the edge of a precipice, the weight of the world on her shoulders. She knew that there was no turning back. The choice was clear: humanity could either accept the knowledge the future was offering and embrace the unknown, or they could continue down the path of destruction, refusing to acknowledge the power of time. As Maria addressed the world for the final time, she realized that the true test wasn't whether humanity could change the future, it was whether they could accept that they were part of a much larger, much grander design. Could they step out of their own narrow view of time and see the truth? That the future wasn't something to fear, it was something to understand. In the end, the decision was made. The future had already been written. All they had to do was believe. The world embraced the unknown. Time, once a rigid concept, was now seen as a flowing river, bending and shifting according to humanity's choices. The future was no longer a distant horizon, it was part of them, intertwined with their present. And as they moved forward, Maria realized that the true message was not one of salvation, but of unity. The future and present were not separate, they were one.